All right. So can everybody in the Zoom room see me? Yes. Thumbs up if you can. All right. So we do have some people in the Zoom room as well as here in person. Thank you guys for coming today. I am Mrs. Farrington, Senora Farrington for previously, but most people in the school building know me as Mrs. Farrington, the IT lady in the library. Okay. But before that, I was a Spanish teacher at William Byrd High School, and I am currently teaching Spanish for the online academy for Roanoke County Schools as well. So I do wear different hats in the building. You probably receive lots and lots of emails from me, especially during homecoming as well as during prom, because I'm in charge of both of those events throughout the school year as well. So, but tonight we are, this is a meeting for anyone that is interested in going to South Korea. I started basically in 2016 with a group of my students, because they said, Senora D, what they used to call me, is like, why can't we do a field trip to Spain? So that discussion eventually led to, how about Greece? I'm like, okay. And then eventually it ended up being Greece, Italy, and Spain on a 12-day trip with former students that had recently graduated and some students that were going into their senior year. So that group of 16, then in 2018, kids are like, let's do another one. So we did the UK, and I brought Dion Nichols, who teaches English 12 AP and dual credit, and she's got a section of English 10 this year. And we went to the UK and we added on Paris. So from 2018, we were going to down under Australia, New Zealand, and stopover in Hawaii. And then, of course, the big C happened and we had to postpone that. We're hoping, okay, 2021, everything's going to open up. 2021 did not open up Australia. So we ended up canceling Australia and New Zealand because we already had 2022 in the books for Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. So, well, it was a different itinerary, but that's what it ended up being because, Putin decided, hey, let's go invade Poland. Okay. So we said, all right, we're going to get away from that and we're going to go and do this instead. So we ended up with 2022, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And in 24, just recently, we went to Japan. And we do have a few of our travelers here in our room today. So, but we also have a 2025 trip that's going back to Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. 25. And we also have a 26 trip going to Scotland in depth. So when we had gone to the UK in 2018, we literally had lunch on one day to lunch the next day in Scotland, in Edinburgh. And we're like, we need to come back. So we put it on the docket and said, okay, let's slate it for this year. We're going to go to Scotland in 26. Okay. So welcome. And that's just a little bit of a rundown of our travel experience as Vinton World Trekkers. And I just want to make sure that you guys are aware that even though we have students on these trips, they are not schools. They're not sponsored by Roanoke County Public Schools or William Byrd High School. Okay. Although teachers are the ones that are leading it, because we find the value in travel and being that hands-on and being out there and learning about the world in person is the best way, because the world is our biggest classroom. Because you don't go and learn electricity in a classroom and saying, here's how it's simulated on a computer. You actually go out and work with electricity. Right? And we learn about the cultures and the world with each other in person. Okay. So today we have, I do have a presentation and I've already probably gone off of it. I've gone rogue already, but it's okay. We'll get back on track here shortly if my presentation would actually go. But we will start off with a quick video from EF. If we can hear it.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Garcia. I go to Indio High School in the Coachella Valley. I come from a Hispanic and Latino community. Culturally, it's always, you're staying here with me, you're gonna be nearby me, you're gonna stay here, you're not gonna go far away. It was always just a dream. Traveling was dreaming. The option of being able to travel was really exciting. Being able to know that there was an actual trip planned to go to Japan and that I might actually be able to go. Being given the okay and the opportunity to go was just amazing, and being in a different country was really cool. I met great people. I ended up making friendships. I got to learn about their culture, and I got to learn about how they did what they did and like why they did it. Teachers and adults need to start talking about traveling and making it an option. Because I know I'm very, very grateful for my travel leader. Because if it weren't for her wanting to open that door for us, I wouldn't have gone, and I wouldn't have the traveling bug. I wouldn't want to continue to go to different places, or it would just seem hard to me and I wouldn't like actually be able to do it. I think they need to know that they're giving their kid a chance of a lifetime, that they're opening their door to something amazing, and that they're gonna be so entirely grateful for it.
And it just so happens that our last trip was Japan. So I think that was really appropriate. But we, on this trip, we're going to be talking about South Korea. Now, anybody that knows me knows that I've only been waiting for this South Korea itinerary for years. So when EF finally said, hey, Cherry Bell, we have an itinerary to South Korea, I'm like, I'm already going to Japan next year. So I already had our 2022 trip was already planned. We had our 24 already planned. Originally, we traveled every other year, but since I have other group leaders, we alternate. So 25 is Ashley's year, 26 is Dion's year, 27 is my year. So I won't be in the rotation until 2030. But either way, all of those destinations, whatever destinations you pick, you're learning something new. You're experiencing something different. So it doesn't matter where we are going, in my opinion, as long as we are going somewhere and we are experiencing it together. So when they finally, it was, I think in 21, when they finally said, Cherry, we have an itinerary to South Korea. And I already had the next 4 years planned out. I was like, well, we'll see when it comes out, like when we can put it in rotation. So it is South Korea's rotation in 2027. And if you guys know, I've already discussed, like I said, I've gone rogue off of my presentation. We are Vinton World Trekkers. Yeah, I made a little logo because it means that way everybody knows who we are. And the Vinton World Trekkers is Mrs. Satterfield, Mrs. Nichols, and myself. And we do this mainly because, like I said, it is a great way for students, even parents and community members to reach out beyond the boundaries of Virginia, beyond the boundaries of the United States. Yes, some of us may have gone to Canada. Some of us have never even gone out of Vinton, so we want to give the students and parents and their families the opportunity to explore beyond our borders. And that is what is really important right now, is just being able to see the world together and experiencing it. So our agenda for tonight, I've already talked about the value of travel, our travel partner, which is EF, what we'll see and do on our trip, and what's going to be included in the itinerary and the cost that you'll be paying, as well as the price and how to enroll here at the end of our meeting. So starting off, I went and grabbed some photos from previous trips. So if we start on the top right, your top left, my right, we are in Asakusa. temple in Japan. This is a group photo, was probably one of the very first locations that we had visited on our day one in Japan. While the one right next to it, we are at the Louvre in Paris, France. And my small group there that had extended from the UK trip. This was my very first trip to Greece, Italy, and Spain. And we actually had a pink bus. It was the EF pink or whatever color that is. It's very rare that you actually get an EF pink bus. So I was super excited and we had to take a photo with the pink bus. And this one is in Osaka in Japan. And this is in Miyajima in Japan, the floating island off of the coast of Hiroshima in Hiroshima Prefecture. And this is our first day in Frankfurt, Germany. Okay, so I took photos that included the groups and what we have done and what we have seen and the different things that you can experience there. So this is why we travel, just to give everybody the experiences that we would not be able to see here. Because now my husband and my daughter is like, oh yeah, we were there. Remember when we walked in between like that egg glass shaped thing in London in the business district? You know, those are the things when we're watching a movie and it's like, hey, remember when we were sitting right there? You know, so I'm like, yeah. So those are like memories that we have with each other as we go through the years. Now, we do have some special guests. Like I said at the beginning of our meeting, we do have a few travelers from our most recent trip here. And we have April and Wendy Holmes Huerta, mainly because I had her on Facebook Messenger today. I was like, hey, could you say a little bit something and share your experiences with us? They said yes. So, but the very first, I'm going to turn it over to you.
We'll come over here so everybody can see us. So the first thing we want to share is I want to share my experience as a parent of a child traveling. My son Christopher, like me on this child. Yeah, that's my baby. He traveled with both of these ladies to Germany, in whatever other countries they visited at the time. You know, if you remember, there was a pretty big conflict and still ongoing between Russia and Ukraine. So Poland was one of the places they were going to visit. It was a very scary, you know, thing for me to say, yes, take my child, because I didn't know what was happening, right? So after, you know, discussions and reassurance that everything was gonna be okay, as a parent, you can imagine that I was hesitant still. But one of the things that happened is right before the trip, they decided to change the I can't pronounce that.
Itinerary.
Yes. And they went to Germany, completely different place. It was super safe. And that gave me the guarantee that they were looking out for the safety of the children, you know, that they were actually going to do what was best for them. So that gave me more sense of just peace and letting my 17-year-old at the time just travel with people that I had no idea of and that were teachers from the school. Right? Our second experience after that, we were like, yeah, let's go with them everywhere they go. So we went to Japan, and I cannot tell you the experience that it was visiting Japan. I think it goes beyond the cultural part. So I come from Colombia, and you know, I already know a different culture other than the United States, but this just goes beyond that because it teaches you even more how the world is just filled with completely different people, experiences, stories, and you know, culture that we are completely unaware of. So the learning experience from that is seeing my now 19-year-old son just walk and manage the individuality that going to Germany gave him. I mean, after he came back from Germany, he came back ready to go to Florida by himself, and he did. He put all the money together. He laid out a plan and told us, this is where I'm going, this is what I'm doing, I'm paying for it. So it really gives you more than just a vacation, is a full experience. You know, for those who are not traveling, like young kids, it will teach them how to manage themselves in a different environment. And even for ourselves as adults, right? You walk into a whole new culture and you don't know what to expect. But then you realize that they're just humans like we are, with completely different stories, and you're just grateful that you are able to experience those things. So I personally recommend not just the traveling as an experience, but this specific group right here, because as I've already explained, I would trust my children who are not Roman, with, to them.
I would say that even our older son, he has Asperger's, and he had never been outside of the country. And on Japan, even though we were with him, he's gained the confidence that he didn't have before. And now this fall, he's a photographer. You may see him in the schools. He's a school photographer, and he's been on 2 business trips this fall and checked himself into a hotel, drove himself, found himself food, something that he had never done before. And I'm pretty sure that going and experiencing Japan, because we did our best to let them have that experience on their own without us, but beside them the whole time in Japan. And I'm pretty sure that this experience has helped him gain that confidence that he needed.
Yeah, he even is talking about moving to Japan, so. So, but, yes. So family, it was something that it was great for the 4 of us to experience something completely different and so new, but together, and have different perspectives of what we saw. The kids were focused on some of the electronics and, the modern technology. We were, focused on the history of the place and things like that. And my vision of Hiroshima, for example, and what happened at, then it just completely changes, your vision and your perspective of how things are. And, such a humble community. It really touched my heart. So it is, wherever you go, I think you learn something different, but that changes your life. So I hands down, I don't recommend anything, but I recommend this.
Thank you. So just to give you guys an idea of what it's like traveling with us, we try to give the students an experience, but at the same time, there are rules. There's always rules. And of course, there are procedures for while we are on tour that have to be followed. So we don't just let them run free. Okay. So be rest assured that that is something that we always try to manage and make sure that they are getting the experience, but doing it in a safe, doing it safely. So,
Michael can speak for that.
right, Michael? I did it, but he did it. But that's just an idea of what it's like on tour and the experiences and what parents as well as the students get from traveling. Also, just going back onto our agenda, our travel partners, EF Educational Tours. EF means education first. And these tours really are geared towards the students and the learning aspects. That's why it's called education first. So here as teachers, we see the value in visiting all of these countries and traveling with EF, and their focus on the educational aspect and the experiences that we gain while we are on tour is probably one of the things that Dion and I initially, and now Ashley, look for in itineraries. So what kind of experiences and what kinds of things are the students going to learn? And EF, who has been in business for over 55 years, and it actually started with the founder, who was an exchange student in Switzerland. That's where he started. And he's like, why don't I give other students this experience? So he started it. And here we are almost 60 years later, bigger, with offices all around the world. And when it says here, staff on ground, 365 a year in over 50 countries, every single blue dot that you see in the map over there is where they actually have offices. So they have offices in Japan, in South Korea. They even have an immersion school in South Korea. So if you want to learn language, They have an immersion school there. Same thing with Japan and Tokyo. They have an immersion school in Spain. They have their main offices are in Geneva and Lucerne, Switzerland. You know, so when we go, we're on ground and our tour director sets us off, he's usually going off to the office and checking in and making sure that the logistics are in place. So if anything happens while we're on the ground, they're able to help us. We don't have somebody here in the United States trying to maneuver us while we're in a different country. They will call out to their local offices like, hey, we got a problem at this place. I need somebody there ASAP, and they will do that. Okay. And of course, they are accredited just like school, where students can actually earn high school credits and college credit as well. And if you are a professional like us, but as teachers, we even get professional development points as well. So everybody benefits when it comes to the educational aspect. Now, when it comes to safety and support with their partner, like I said, they do have local support and insight worldwide. So you will have people there as well as people maneuvering here in the Boston office or in the Boston, Austin, or Denver, Colorado offices. So they do have multiple offices here in the United States. EF safety and incident response team, they are so quick. We had an incident in Japan in Kyoto, and it was handled within like an hour. The response team was amazing here as well as on the ground there in Japan. Flexibility to adapt our tour due to unforeseen circumstances. So if we are on tour and then all of a sudden there's rioting, they will usher us out, or we will not go to a certain location or anywhere near that location. So there we are flexible and we will find something else to do in place of whatever it is that we are missing. So there's a response there, and there is a way to be flexible and make the changes as needed while we are on tour. And that's what we have with a tour director on hand, as well as the on-site or the local teams. And then, of course, 24-hour tour director and chaperone team. So chaperones usually are us. And when we travel, we have what is called a tour director, and he meets us at the airport the moment that we land, after we go through TSA and collect baggages, and the moment we leave and check in at the airport on our departure date. So he's with us in hotels, on our buses, at our meals, even when we have free times. They are there with us. And Hiro in Japan was amazing. And in all reality, I don't think I've ever had a tour director with EF that was mediocre.
No.
So all the tour directors that we've had the pleasure of working with for the days that we are in foreign countries has been amazing. And they're so insightful on everything, not just the cultural aspect, but also on the history and the mannerisms and what is acceptable and what is not. Now, our education partner is EF, Education First. As we've already said, there is an EF personalized learning guide where you can get half a credit for, basically it's going to be an elective credit at your high school. So if you are interested in that, it usually goes towards your social studies credit. So it's a half a credit and you do a small project. Teachers from around the country will grade it and they'll send it back to you, and you present it to Roanoke County Schools or whatever school district you attend, and they will award the credit to you. Now, the college credit, this is free for the high school credit, whereas the college credit, it does involve a small fee. I think it's like $200 or $300 the last time I checked it was, and that was like 2-3 years ago, but we'll have to check it. Huh? It's still 200. Okay. He just went on a trip this past, like a couple summers ago.
It wasn't this month.
A couple summers ago with another teacher. So he's traveled a couple times already with EF, and he knows. But there is college credit available, and it is through Southern New Hampshire University. And they, again, college professors will evaluate your project, and they will submit it to, Southern New Hampshire University will give you the credit for it, and you can transfer it to anywhere you need to go. But overall, if you are a high school student, whether you are graduating here in the next couple years, or you've got another 4 years to go, it will definitely help you with a college essay, mainly because they're gonna ask you, what has changed your life? What experiences have you had? How did those experiences develop you? How did it change you, etc.? And they will give you the help that you need in order to write that college essay for your application, for example. So if that is something that you are interested in or need help in, you can go ahead and EF will have a guide for you to help you out with that as well. Okay, so especially for my juniors and seniors that are thinking about traveling, but even now, my sophomores and freshmen that are traveling right now, okay, because you've got a couple more years to go. Now, we are not the only school that travels, and we are not the only teachers that travel in the Roanoke Valley. So as of right now, in the next 3 years alone, you have teachers at Cave Spring High School, Cave Spring Middle, Glenver High, Northside High, Hidden Valley High, PH. You've got teachers at Burton. You've got teachers at Fleming, Franklin County, and I believe there's some even in I know as a matter of fact, I am taking over a trip for somebody in Bedford County that's traveling in 25. So, but there are many teachers. So if there's a trip that you're interested in, shop around if you need to. But there are teachers traveling to different locations all around the world within the Roanoke Valley itself. Okay.
We'd love to have it with us, but it's most important.
Right.
And eat all the food.
Because it's all about the food and experiences. So, discover South Korea. This is what our itinerary looks like. And it is a 12-day trip. And as you guys can see, there's a lot of flying. And did you know that South Korea has bullet trains also? How many of you have seen Train to Busan? Yeah. If you like zombies, you got to go check it out. Okay.
So,
It is probably one of the best movies from like 2018. I think it was 2018, 2017. Yeah, it's streaming on Amazon Prime if you guys want to go check it out. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit. Okay, we actually go through the itinerary and see what we'll look like. But before we go there, I did mention that I do have a trip in 2025 that I'm taking over for a former colleague at Liberty High School. It just so happened that I was tasked by Roanoke Valley Sister Cities to organize a trip to South Korea in 2025. And at the same time, this opportunity came on and I was like, okay, let's see if I can tack on Roanoke Valley Sister Cities and have them come along with me on this trip that I'm already taking over. But this one goes to South Korea and Japan. But if you have any questions about this one, you can ask me at the end of our meeting. But we're talking about 27 tonight. Okay, so but that's just if you want to travel a little bit sooner, that's another opportunity as well if you are interested in South Korea and or Japan. But how many of you know South Korea or anything about South Korea? Anybody know where this is? Well, this is actually in Busan. So the Gamcheon Culture Village is in Busan, and it is known for the vibrant colors of the buildings in the area. So this is basically a view, as you can see over here, there's the ocean. The city of Busan is on the coast of South Korea in the southern portion of it. And this is one of the iconic cities or villages of the area. Now, food. How many of you have been to K-Pot? Yes. So Korean barbecue, of course, and you've got kimchi, and here you've got side dishes. So if you guys are familiar with the way food is served in Asia, everything is separate dishes.
I just got back to Atlanta, celebrating Korean Thanksgiving.
Yes. Chosok. Yes. So, but Koreans eat everything in little bowls, and all of those are side dishes. And of course, you've got your main dishes as well. Okay. But rice, pub. And of course, the iconic Namsan Tower or North Seoul Tower in Seoul itself. And you will see that in pretty much any K-drama that you've ever seen. If you watch K-dramas, you'll see that in every single one. They make it a point to show Namsan Tower. And San basically means mountain. So if you meet any Korean with the name San, their name is mountain. Okay. So talking about our itinerary starts off. Now notice it says days 1 and 2 because we leave here sometime in the middle of the day. We fly overnight and we arrive in Seoul. So we are in Seoul. We will meet our tour director there, and immediately, we'll rest overnight and we'll go and take a bullet train to Busan. So from Busan, we'll visit the Gamcheon Culture Village, and we'll take a beach train on Cheongsapo and Haedong Yeonggusa Temple. Okay, so that's just day 3. And from there, in day 4, we'll take an in-depth tour of Busan itself, and we'll travel by bus to Gyeongju, and we'll visit the Gyeongju National Museum. From there, we'll visit Cheonsongdae and stroll through the Tumuli Park. And as you can see, anytime you see visit on the itinerary, you're actually there. You're walking there. Anytime you see, it could be on a bus tour or a walking tour. Okay. So if you're looking over that itinerary that you guys picked up, visit, you are there physically, walking around it and looking around. If you see, you are seeing it from a distance, walking or passing by it on a bus. Okay. And then of course, we take an in-depth tour of Gyeongju on day 5. Right? So from there, on day 5, we also see the Napi Pond and see Donggung Palace. So we will see a palace there. And on day 6, we take a bullet train back to Seoul and we'll have a cooking class. So we will be able to, whether it be kimbap, you guys know what kimbap is? Or bibimbap? Or maybe bibimbap, kimbap is like sushi. It's a roll with stuff inside it. So it's much like the sushi roll from Japan. So every single time people see kimbap, they liken it to a sushi roll. Okay. And bibimbap is basically a rice bowl with vegetables and meats and other toppings. Okay. And we'll also get to visit the War Memorial of Korea. We'll take a tour of Seoul, and notice there's another palace that we'll see. And from there, we will visit the traditional Buddhist Jojongsa temple. We'll actually go up to Namsan Tower. Okay. There are stairs. You can walk up to it from the very bottom up, or you can drive up to a certain location and it'll be a shorter walk to the top. Okay. So there is some walking involved here. We'll explore Myeongdong Street, which is basically the open air market area. It's the most popular one in Seoul itself. And we'll enjoy a nonverbal non-tub performance. Okay, so we will be experiencing a show. Now, day 9 through the rest of the trip, we will be in Jeju Island. So Jeju Island, here's the reasoning why. This is the actual extension to the trip. Okay. I couldn't do South Korea without doing Seoul, the Jeju Island extension, mainly because of the juxtaposition of the experiences. Because here you are on a lone island off of the coast of South Korea, and most people actually liken it to the Hawaii of South Korea. Okay, if you have an idea of what Hawaii is to the United States, it's kind of like that for South Korea. So the experiences that we'll have on Jeju Island, we will get an in-depth experience of Jeju. We'll get a walking tour of Dongwon Traditional Market. It's a fish market. And we actually do a hike. It's not a very big hike, but it is a hike. But it has great views of the ocean itself. And we'll also get to explore Manjangur Cave. And we'll also visit Yakhyonsa the temple. And we'll also go and see the Camellia Hill Botanical Garden and Gwakji Beach. So we will be able to just walk on the beach itself. So on our last day, we fly back to Seoul and then we come home. Okay. So that is itinerary. How's it sound? Amazing. I believe so too. But like I said, the thriving metropolitan city of Seoul with the island of Jeju, the experiences in both locations are different. And I believe the experiences will be just enriching for everybody and it's just be so different from each other. So, right. So that is the itinerary. And then of course, all the food. So here, that is a bowl that is bibimbap. Okay. So it's a rice bowl. And then of course, the famous Korean barbecue, which we have at K-Pot. We get to experience that. And then of course, kimchi, which is your fermented spicy cabbage. And these are japchae or japchae, which is glass noodles with vegetables and usually with some meat inside of it. Okay. So those are some of the cuisine from South Korea. Okay. How are we about eating fish? Yes. Okay. Más o menos or so. Okay. Well, they do serve all of these things with other meats, so hopefully we can work with that. But food is probably the best part of any trip, right? So our travel dates, the earliest that we will leave is June 28th. And the latest that we will actually arrive is July 15th. But my requested dates is July 1st through the 12th. That means we would actually spend 4th of July in South Korea. So we would get to see whether South Koreans celebrate the 4th of July like the Americans do. Or do the Americans that live in South Korea still celebrate 4th of July like they would here in the States? Okay. I spent 4th of July in Madrid and they don't celebrate it. just point blank. They don't celebrate it in Spain. It's like 4th of July. Oh, Americans.
They celebrate it.
Yes. Yes. Cool. All right. But our flexibility basically with these dates will basically helps EF create an itinerary as well as getting all the on-ground experiences for us, booking the flights because flights to and from Korea are not cheap. That much I'm going to tell you now. It's like anything from the East Coast going to Asia. If you're lucky, you can find a flight that's $1,500 round trip if you're lucky. But anything usually, if you're trying to travel closer to whatever dates it is, flights tend to go up there in the thousands of dollars. So, but we will receive our confirmed dates about 2 to 3 months before our tour. When we went to Japan, we were lucky. We actually got them in December before we traveled. So hopefully we will get those 2 to 3 months before our tour. So block off June 28th until the 15th until we get those dates in. So if we are traveling in July, so that would be what? March, April? Around April, we will get our definite travel dates. Okay, because usually once my tour consultant knows the dates that we will be traveling, she messages me and it's like, hey, here are your dates. So let your parents and your travelers know ASAP. So our group could be combined with another school depending on how big our group is. Normally, if we have a full bus, in Asia, a full bus is about 37 travelers. If we have about 37 travelers, we will not be grouped with another school from the United States. But if we have less than that, there's a chance that somebody from another school will actually join us. Okay. But Any questions on those travel dates and how that works out? Okay. So what is included in itinerary? So you've got your round trip airfare, you've got all of your hotel stays. They are private room where they come in rooms with private bathrooms, regional style meals for breakfast and dinner, sometimes lunch and dinner, or breakfast and lunch, depending on whether it is a travel day. Okay, but you are guaranteed 2 meals a day. And the other meal is out for you to go out and explore the local cuisine. We have a 24-hour tour director. We have transportation on tour, including a bus, our motor coach, to go from our hotel to all of the different locations that we will be visiting. And of course, even the train and the plane from Seoul to Jeju. Okay. We will have expert local guides at all the places that we will visit. We have guided sightseeing and of course, entrances to landmarks and attractions within our itinerary. Things that you are responsible for is getting your own passport and any applicable visas and any baggage fees that you incur, okay? Most of EF will book flights where you get a carry-on and a checked bag, okay? So, but we highly recommend doing a carry-on only, mainly because you are responsible for your baggage, okay? So when we are getting off the plane, getting off the buses, the train, and going to our hotels, you are responsible for acquiring your baggage and getting it to where they need to be. Tips for local guides, bus drivers, and our tour director, which will be collected the closer we are to departure. And then, of course, snacks and some of your meals. So if you are a 3 times a day meal person, then definitely account for that. And if I highly suggest the snacks, especially if you have diabetes, etc., or things like that, you would have definitely pack some snacks with you, okay? So booking with confidence for our group, we have what is called the peace of mind. So this is where kind of like when we had to change our itinerary because of the conflict in Ukraine and Russia, this is what came into play with our peace of mind program. We had the flexibility to change it when we needed to, okay? Whereas for each traveler, this is already included in the price that you will see later. It is the global travel protection. I don't ever travel here, even in the United States, without the travel protection because you never know what will happen, especially when you are flying. So I always include that in the price, but you also have the option to upgrade for $400. The difference between these two, this one is already included. This can be added, but it can only be added when you first enroll, okay? And this one, you can cancel your plans up to 24 hours before departure. Okay. And this is new. We have a risk-free enrollment period. So if you decide to enroll tonight and you change your mind here within the next 7 days, you'll get your money back. 100%. Now, this is also new. It applies to the 26 trip and it applies to the 27. So if you cancel within the first 7 days after enrolling, there's no cancellation fee and you get your money back. Whereas here, up to a year prior to departure. So once you hit the 1 year after enrollment and you have the global travel protection plan, which is already included in the price, you get everything back minus the $95. Okay. So if you needed to cancel and we've still got some time and a year has passed and within the year you say, okay, I decided I can't do this right now. Something has come up and it's not feasible for us. You have the cancellation policy and that is a new one. But you can read more about that when you are enrolling and on the website as well. Okay. Questions so far? All right. So making it happen. So EF does offer a global citizenship scholarship, which for us, since we're not traveling until 2027, there is our deadline is February 12th, 2026. They give as it says, it rewards up to $100,000 in scholarships. It is needs based. So this application really actually is like, why do you need the scholarship? And you send it in, and if they feel that you are worthy of this scholarship, they'll give you money towards your trip. Okay. And then of course, every traveler gets a tour fundraising page. And on this tour fundraising page, if anybody puts any money towards it, all of it goes towards your trip. So if somebody uses your donation page and donates $50, all $50 goes to your tour. Okay, there's no fees or anything like that. It goes directly towards your trip. Okay. So everything that we get, just quick wrap up. You've got the itinerary and all the logistics, hotels, rides, tour director, entrances, etc. Payments and protection. There are flexible payment plans. When it comes to the flexible payment options, you can do it manually where you have to remember to actually go in and make the payments, or you can set up an automatic payment plan. My UK trip, I had a kid paying every single week, automatically deducted from his paycheck. He paid for his entire trip himself. And you could do bi-weekly, bi-monthly, however you want to do it. And you actually get to choose when those payments come out. So if you enroll tonight, you don't get paid until after the 1st, for example, you can set it up to that. And you have a leeway of, I think, like 2 or 3 weeks to choose from to get your payment set up on. You have global travel protection plans. You have your 2 options there, the one that's already included or the additional one for $400. And you also get a personal tour fundraising page and, of course, protection of your investment in this experience. Now, when it comes to safety and support, you've got personal traveler account online. You can always check it up. You can make changes. And if you wanted to even make additional payments, you can, and they will recalculate your monthly payments. So if you get $500 in between paychecks or in between your payments, they will recalculate that and it'll go down. Okay. So if you are on the automatic payment plan, you have that option as well. Then, of course, we have the traveler support team that you can call Monday through Friday, I think until about 6 o'clock at night, and not on holidays. So, but you have that option for them. And if you are on tour, you can call them 24/7. There is somebody manning the phones in Boston or in Lucerne to help you guys out. Okay. And then, of course, just the peace of mind of we have the flexibility of changing the itinerary when needed.
Do they have their personal rooms that you stay at, or?
You can upgrade to a single, but students will actually room anywhere from 2 to 4. So we usually work that out as we get closer to the to travel, but you have the option to upgrade to a single room if you wanted. Okay. Any other questions so far? Okay. And then, of course, your personalized learning experiences. So you've got your project-based guide, high school and college credits available, and then, of course, again, your college essay help as you're preparing for college. Now, here's the big screen. It's the one you're waiting for. So your flexible payment options. So firstly, here's your bi-weekly option. It's $113 twice a month or every other week. And that already includes your $95 enrollment fee. If you're paying on a monthly basis, it'll be $227 a month. But if you wanted to pay in full, it is $7,349. Now, this is why we are recruiting, or we're doing getting the payment, like starting now for anybody that is interested to keep the payments low. Okay, because the closer that we get to a trip, the higher your monthly payments are. Because you would have to come up with the $7,300 right up front or more.
Is the 7,300, you said they have an option of 9 days, 12 days? Or-
Oh, this is for the 12-day
I
option.
love that.
Yeah, this is for 12 days. And you have everything included from round trip airfare, the round trip airfare within South Korea itself, hotel, meals, everything. Yeah,
Just to give the second inspect.
yes,
So nothing like included like souvenirs.
right. Okay, but this price is including the $200 early enrollment discount. So after the early enrollment period, it'll go up $200. So it is actually $75.49 for students after October the 4th. Okay. Okay. So we have 2 weeks to kind of make a decision here and receive the 200 early discount. If you have traveled with EF before, you get an additional $100 for traveling again with EF. So you get $300 off if you are traveling with us again. Any questions here? Right. So as of right now, we do have 16 families that are interested. Now guaranteed spots available is 15. We will take on more if needed. But the enrollment period to receive the $200 discount is October 4th. And all you need to do to enroll is make a deposit of $95. And that goes towards your trip fee, trip cost. Okay. So $95. So I'm actually gonna open up. No, crap. She couldn't find the link, the email. Tell her that I will send her.
As much as I.
Well, I will send the presentation and the
Okay.
recording after anyways. So enrollment is open. If you guys have any questions, I can start jotting them down or answering them if I know the questions or the answers to them. Yes.
How many?
For adults, it is 2 to a room, unless you upgrade to a single.
So I'm looking at myself. Per-
So there is an option for a family room also. In a family room, you get 1 adult and 2 children, or 2 adults and 1 child. There, and for no cost. No additional cost in that one. So if it's you and your 2 daughters, that's 3 to a room, and there's no additional cost for that. So if that's an option that you guys want to do, you can do that. But if it is 1 adult and 1 student, the student will have to upgrade to upgrade the room to room with you, or she could room with another student. I mean, that's an option if that is something that you guys are interested in. You are open to upgrade, but there is a family option where it's 3 to a room. Okay. She loves you though.
It's 15.
Do you have any other questions?
No, I feel fine. If there is anything I learned from the Japan trip is that one, prior to you guys scheduling that one, we actually quoted a trip to Japan traveling to Tokyo only because it was a trip, the dream trip for the boys.
Right,
And it was going to end up being about the same cost, but just going to Tokyo. And there was nothing, I mean, this is as paying for our meals, paying for the
Right.
meal. And then the second thing is, the second thing is, by the time we were done paying, it was like, you don't have to worry about anything else because you already pay for everything. And we, as a family, I think, and that's where the boys expect, because they spend more money than we did. I think we spent maybe $1,000 together. The two of us didn't spend that much because
right,
the exchange is so different
right,
that when you look at the money, there, you know, it's a lot less dollars as we think.
right,
And the other thing is, just getting there and not having to worry about anything because everything is already paid. It really gives you peace of mind. So I thought I would just mention those things because I know what it feels like when you see that number.
Yeah.
But then when you're paying them monthly, it really, it makes sense. And if you are able to afford a monthly payment, by the time you're done with it,
the only thing
get a
you worry
lot.
about when you're there is spending. So, but it does cover a lot, so. Do you have any other questions? Zoom? All right, well, if you have no questions for us, if you do have any questions.